Battlefield 6 is the best-selling game of 2025 with 10 million copies sold already, showing that this world we live in still has hope for some much-needed healing by finally outselling Call of Duty. Battlefield fans like myself were especially pleased to see that this franchise we love is finally on top of the FPS throne. But now we're in the present and 80% of the player base is gone. Now, it isn't unusual for a game to have a player count drop after a few months of the game's initial release. Except in this case, Battlefield 6 is experiencing a steep decline according to the Steam charts as we wrap up Season 1. So how did we get here, and what can DICE do to revitalize the game that we have come to love? And boy, do I have an idea that if anyone working at DICE or EA were to hear, I'm sure it would make them quiver at the sheer thought of. But I'll get to that later in the video, so stay tuned. But we're going to start with some of the live service issues that I believe take a little bit more precedent right now. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, where I will soon tell you every bit of lore I've learned from Warhammer 40k from Space Marines 2, which isn't shit. Anyway, on to why Battlefield 6 is falling off. And as a brief disclosure, this game is nowhere near dead. It had 10 million copies sold. 85% of people gone from 10 million is still a fuck ton of players. But anyways, I digress. To me, the biggest reason the player base has dropped so significantly is that Battlefield 6 has a huge live service problem. There is simply not enough happening to keep us invested in the game at all. It honestly feels like DICE made the weapon and class leveling so obnoxiously long and tedious intentionally, so players would be distracted by that instead of thinking of other content. Well, obviously, things don't work that way, and it didn't start to work that way for Battlefield. Season 1 has been such a fucking letdown with its content for the multiplayer side of the game. Now, let me give props first. I'm not going to come in here all bashing. I do have to give DICE for credit for the Battle Royale mode, though. I was going in expecting to hate it or to be bored, but I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed it. Props have to be given to DICE because I didn't think it was possible to make a BR that doesn't feel like some kind of slop content at this point. But I know for myself, and probably all of us longtime Battlefield fans, we aren't going to stay around for a BR mode, no matter how good it is. And yes, to get to the coming in swinging part, it does feel like and look like Warzone with destruction, which, in my opinion, is cool because it does make it fun. In my opinion, I fuck with it, but that's not gonna bring in any players really, or retain any players that even try it out. In my opinion, we just need maps. Now, it's a bit of exaggeration. We need a lot more than that, but we do need a lot of freaking maps. Here's the list of content we got for multiplayer in BF6 in the first season. 2 maps, and 1 was ass. 5 weapons, and 1 new vehicle. And it wasn't the fucking little bird. Keep in mind that this was in the span of 3 months. Meanwhile, Battlefield 4's first update, China Rising, we got 4 maps, and one of them being one of the biggest maps in the franchise, 5 weapons, 2 gadgets, and 2 vehicles a month after launch. Now, what I'm hoping for is now that RedSec is out, DICE can really focus on giving us more content, especially maps, in the next season. This game, now this is just a personal opinion of mine, this game needs an Operation Metro type map. I know we got a bunch of small maps in the game already, but it's kind of a classic. I feel like it's almost a staple having that linear kind of map. We got it in 3, we got it in 4. Well, we got it in 3 with Metro, we got it in 4 with Locker and Metro. We got it in Battlefield 1 with Argonne Forest. If Battlefield 5 had it, I don't even remember. I did not play that game very much. And even 2042 has it. I forgot what that map's called because fuck that game. But if 2042 has something that Battlefield 6 doesn't, and something that's kind of a staple in Battlefield at this point, I'm gonna have to call Megami to hit the explosion on this game, because what the fuck are we doing? Even if we don't get a Metro-like map in the next season, we, as gamers and players of this game, still need and should expect much more content. The aircraft gameplay in this Battlefield just feels very half-assed. I mean, with no air radar or little bird in sight. And I know I just said we need a Metro-styled map, which I love, but in actuality, we desperately just need bigger maps that, you know, feel like the golden era of Battlefield. Adding a weather effect to arguably one of the worst maps in the game doesn't do anything for us, in my honest opinion. DICE should go back to the way they did updates in Battlefield 3 3, 4, and 1.
What did you say, nigga?
But without the paywall behind them. I know some of y'all were ready to chokeslam my ass if I didn't say it without the paywall. DICE should understand the sheer amount of quality games that are coming out that will quickly pull other gamers away from Battlefield 6. Arc Raiders, for example, is 100% taking away players from Battlefield, and even Call of Duty. And then, you know, all the other 100,000 games that came out this year, E33, First Berserker, Outer Worlds 2, Death Stranding, all the other awesome games that came out this year. So when Battlefield 6 is not releasing any updates, or rather any interesting updates, then why the hell would anyone feel the urge to come back and stay on the game? I feel like Helldivers 2 got this damn near perfectly right last year. They had the 2 big updates with the Halo crossover, and then Arrowhead launched the huge Terminate Hive World update, which brought back like 20,000 players. Having big updates for players to be excited about is really key to bringing players back. I believe Battlefield 6's gameplay loop is fun enough to retain players as is, although they do need to fix the hit registration a bit and fix the horrible progression system, but I'm gonna get to that later, y'all, don't worry. Right now, I see Battlefield as a game you play with the boys for an hour or two, then hop off, which is fine because that's what gaming is about, just chilling and having fun. But usually this happens like 6 months to a year after the game being released, not 2 months into its life. If Season 2 is another huge disappointment, then this game will be on life support for the foreseeable future, in my opinion. And then that brings me to the Portal mode. So to me, and I assume to what DICE and EA figured would happen with the Portal mode, is that the community would essentially provide its own content, while DICE and EA would be able to kick their feet up and make 2 maps and add some weapons every 3 to 4 months. Instead, we got the bullshit we got in 2042, where it's just 90% bot XP farms, and the other 10% is what it was meant to be, where you go play something cool that someone made. And to be honest with you, I'm being generous with that 10%, because DICE did such a shit job with the portal search optimization that you can almost never find any of the cool stuff people make, which just utterly kills the entire mode. Now, my theory is that this could have been done intentionally because EA didn't want to get into legal trouble with these other giant corporations like Activision due to people making maps from other games. Although that is not a reason to not give the Portal mode a server browser at all, a proper server browser. This was a huge part of the announcement for BF6 and has belly flopped harder than a roided turtle on a diving board. So you already don't have enough content in multiplayer. The Portal mode that was supposed to allow the community to make its own content has been a resounding disappointment. Well, remember when I said I was going to say something that'll make DICE and EA have PTSD from this fuck up? I didn't use those words exactly, but you know what I mean. I'm sure we all remember the disaster launch that was Star Wars Battlefront 2, right? No! I know you do, DICE and EA. Well, you guys might need to follow in some of the footsteps of that game. Remember when Battlefront 2 had that absolutely abysmal progression system with the loot boxes, and DICE had to spend 4 months completely overhauling the progression system? Now, I'm not saying that Battlefield 6's progression is as bad as the loot box garbage, but it damn sure needs a change. I'm watching the JNtheFranxx video about a week ago, I think, at this point of me recording. Yeah, Battlefield 6 needing a wake-up call. And even he doesn't have all the attachments on his best weapon in the game. And it's a starter fucking weapon. It was the M4A1. Bruh. If JNtheFranxx doesn't have all the attachments on a weapon in a Battlefield game at this point, then my niggas at DICE, your progression system is ass. I already mentioned earlier how this game wants you to grind for things like it's a free-to-play game, but the worst aspect is locking like class gadgets and specializations through challenges. Battlefield is supposed to be a team game, you know, where there's no one-man army shit, right? Well, it's hard to play as a team if I got half a team of people trying to get their headshots with a sniper as soon as they get on one of these maps just to get some fucking training path. When that stuff occurs, it kind of kills the retention of the gameplay too, because, you know, half the team's not trying to revive people. They gotta do these stupid challenges just to unlock some freaking gadget in the game. Instead, you got a bunch of people, instead of people playing as useful classes like the support and engineer, motherfuckers is running around with the assault trying to fucking stem and shoot somebody in the fucking face after 2 seconds. It ruins the gameplay cycle. It really does. It fucks it up entirely. Now, I know this idea would more than likely kill the game because most of DICE's resources would go into fixing this issue. But to be honest, I think in the long run, this would help the game out dramatically. fixing this progression system. Hopefully, like I said, this is a long shot that they would even think of doing this, but if it could take at least a month or two, just completely fix it. Call all hands on deck, because that shit is terrible. I think honestly it would make the game a lot better if it felt like, you know, instead of unlocking my 16th fucking vertical grip, I could just max out the gun and not have to grind like I'm playing Warframe again. Now, I mean, I still don't even have things unlocked in this game because I despise this progression system so much. Tying things that affect how you play the game to stupid challenges just kills the experience for multiplayer. EA needs to go ahead and scrap up whatever they plan to do with that bullshit ass skate game, and like I said again, get all hands on deck. And with the news of EA shutting down Anthem, we know that those greedy motherfuckers at EA corporate will kill a game without question if it no longer benefits. Battlefield 6 is, I would like to think it's in the unkillable category, but you never know with these corporations. They don't really want us to have shit. So now I do think a progression overhaul alongside awesome maps, big maps, and a metro one for me, I don't know, I'm being greedy, and some weapons and vehicles would help a whole lot in making this game like really feel like top golden era Battlefield game. Now I know I've been kind of negative in this video, but do not get it twisted. I have a lot of fun playing this Battlefield game. It is a really fun game to play. I just really want the best for this game and for DICE to do the things that I think would make this all-time Battlefield game, or at least up there. I don't think it can be an all-time one, but it can be up there. So I just, got to be critical of the things that I want to succeed. I am hoping for the best with the team at DICE to get this right and get us excited to play this game again next season. With that said, though, I'm gonna hop in my Franks, go and read up some more Warhammer lore, because, man, Space Marines 2 was awesome, but there was a whole lot of shit in that game. I have no idea what the fuck is happening. Anyways, time for me to fly in my Franks and get on out of here. Peace, y'all.